Baik, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Kita teruskan sesi kedua program kita pada tengah hari ini, iaitu sesi ucap tama oleh Prof. Dato' I. Dr. Muhammad Rafiq bin Dato' Abdul Qadir. Sesi ucap tama akan disampaikan dalam bahasa Inggeris. Sebelum ni, saya ingin membacakan serba sedikit tentang latar belakang Prof. Dr. I. Muhammad Rafiq bin Dato' Abdul Qadir. Dr. Hidayu, ada profil Dr. Rafiq? Boleh kongsikan? Maaf, saya...
Dato' Rafiq, mic tu kena buka. Dato' Rafiq, mic, okey.
Okey, Dr. Rafiq, sebenarnya saya tidak mempunyai biografi Dr. Rafiq. Mungkin kemudian Dr. Rafiq boleh perkenalkan diri. Dr. Hidayu, ada biografi Dr. Rafiq? Okay, tambah banyak-banyak Dr. Rafiq. I'm so sorry for this inconvenience. Kerana saya tidak dibekalkan oleh biografi Dr. Rafiq.
It's okay, no problem.
Thank you. Tanpa melengahkan masa, saya menjemput Prof. Dr. I. Dr. Muhammad Rafiq bin Dato' Abdul Qadir untuk menyampaikan ucapan beliau. Dipersilakan.
Terima kasih. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma yassir wa la tu'assir wa tammim bil khair. La ilaha illa ja'altahu sahla wa anta taj'al hazna idza syi'ta sahla. Allahumma inni dha'ifun faqawi fi ridhaka dha'fi wa khudh ila al-khairi bi nasiyati waj'al al-islam muntaha ridhaya. Allahumma inni dha'ifun faqawwini wa dhalilun fa'azzini wa faqirun warzuqni. Pertamanya terima kasih kepada Tuan Pengerusi Majlis. Juga terima kasih kepada Akademi Tamadun Islam, Fakulti Sains Sosial dan Kemanusiaan dengan kerjasama Universitas Islam Radin Rahmat Unira dan UIN Radin Fatah. Yang berbahagia Profesor Madya Dr. Aminuddin bin Ruskam, Pengarah Pusat Islam UTM, Profesor Dr. Sunarji Dahri Tiam, Direktur Pasca Sarjana Universitas Islam Radin Rahmat Unira Malang, Dr. Ahmad Zainuri MPDI, Sekretaris Koordinator Perguruan Tinggi Islam Swasta Sumatera Bahagian Selatan Wilayah 7 dan dosen Pasca Sarjana UIN Radin Fatah Palembang. Juga kepada pimpinan daripada Unira, Dr. Hasan Abadi, Rektor Unira Malang, Dr. An Fardani, Wakil Rektor 3, Dr. Saifuddin, Fakulti Ilmu Keislaman, Dr. Zainal Abidin, Ketua Halal Center Unira, Dr. Aris Musnandar, Ketua Magister Pendidikan Agama Islam, dan dosen senior Unira yang lain. Alright, okay, so first of all, thank you for inviting me, and the title that is given to me is IR 4.0 Calls for a Paradigm Shift in Science and Technology. Actually, I don't know who my audience will be when I prepared these slides, but I was told by the Secretariat, Dr. Nur Hidayu, that this particular session will be viewed by students taking science and technology, thoughts in science and technology. So I prepared some of the slides related to our specific audience, to our students. So if it seems very basic to some of our scholars, I do apologize. All right, let's move on to the next slide. The contents of the presentation is talk about a shift in paradigm and the industrial revolutions, and then since Well, to be honest, actually, I've never had a keynote session designated for 1 hour. Yeah, so it is going to be a very long lecture. But since it is very long, so I will we will have several interludes. Yeah, interludes. Interlude 1 and interlude 2 before I conclude my talk. All right. Okay, a little bit about paradigm shift. And this is from the person who coined the term paradigm shift, Thomas Kuhn, defines it as a fundamental change in the basic concepts and experimental practices of a scientific discipline. It's a very mouthful, but it is basically a change from one way of thinking to another. Has little to do with the accomplishment of the past, built upon what is possible in the future, and may not necessarily always mean good, because you are shifting from one thought to another, so the second thought may not necessarily be a good one. Hopefully a good one, but not necessarily be so. Just to give an example, Ptolemy used to say that the earth is the center of universe. So you basically say that all other celestial beings out there rotates about the earth. That's what Ptolemy says. Yeah, long time ago. And then came Copernicus. And Copernicus basically say that no. That's a wrong, wrong concept. The earth is not the center of the universe, but the sun is the center of the universe. So Copernicus says that instead of all other stars rotating around Earth, it is actually the Earth that is rotating around the sun. Yeah, and then of course you know that this is also not true. Yeah, so again there is a shift, from Ptolemy saying that the center of universe is our Earth, into Copernicus' thoughts that the sun is the center of the universe. And then of course, later on, even the sun is not the center of the universe or of our universe. Another example is Newtonian physics. If you learn basic sciences, F equals ma. That one was coined by Newton, Sir Isaac Newton. Yeah, Sir Isaac Newton says then the force equals mass times acceleration. And then later on comes Einstein. And Einstein says, well, instead of F equals ma, we should think of E equals mc squared. Yeah? So there's now another shift from F equals ma, that is very limited in terms of its application nowadays, into E equals mc squared, proposed by Einstein. Another example of a paradigm shift, you have a system of monarchy where the king rule the country, into another paradigm shift of democracy, where you have the president, the elected president, rule the country. So that's another paradigm shift. Another paradigm shift, character ethic. So we talk about ethics based on character, and then we move to another ethics based on personality. So this is not necessarily mean good, but there you go. Yeah, instead of having an ethic from the right source, now we have the ethic based on personality. Another paradigm shift, silo mindset into teamwork mindset. So a silo mindset means that you work alone by yourself. But paradigm shift is that, instead of you work alone, you should work in a team, because whenever you work in a team, you can always achieve more. Another paradigm shift in terms of leadership, you have authoritarian leadership that may be shifted into a servant leadership. Nowadays, we discuss about the leader is actually the servant of the people, not actually the one on top. Yeah, but it is actually the one at the very bottom, looking after the people. So from authoritarian leadership into servant leadership. Another example is physical learning. Nowadays, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have to convert from physical learning, face-to-face learning, to digital learning. So again, there is another paradigm shift. And then the last one, from a teacher-centric into a learner-centric. So these are some of the examples about paradigm shift, so that we can roughly understand the topic that we want to discuss today, because it is about IR 4.0 and it is about paradigm shift. All right, okay. So enough of paradigm shift. Let's move on to the industrial revolutions. I mean, this is not something new to you because everybody now is aware for several years back that the fourth industrial revolution is already on our doorstep. So this is the fourth, all the four industrial revolutions started with the first industrial revolution back in the 1800s, yeah, with the production facilities powered via steam and water. So steam and water powered production facilities is the first ever industrial revolution back in the 1800s. And then later on in 1900s, you know, there's a picture there of assembly line. So now when you have electricity and mass production, you can produce lots and lots of cars. So Henry Ford is one of the pioneer in the assembly lines, manufacturing lots and lots of cars, the T model, the Ford T model, electricity and mass production that triggers the second industrial revolution. And then in the millennium, we start with the third industrial revolution. Everything is now based on electronic and IT systems. You have the invention of computer, network, and automation. So that's the third industrial revolution. And now we are already in the fourth industrial revolution, where everything is connected digitally. Yeah. And then if you can see that there is a bar at the very far right about the level of complexity and productivity. So you can see that the first industrial revolution to the second industrial revolution, the level of complexity is not that much. But when you jump from the second and the third, that's quite a lot of jump there. And then from the third to the fourth industrial revolution, there is another significant jump in terms of complexity as well as productivity. Right. So what are the components of IR 4.0? The components, there you go, Internet of Things, big data, fintech, e-business, additive manufacturing, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, autonomous robots, cloud computing, and cybersecurity. Now, it will take some time if I were to discuss in depth for each and every one of these. But roughly, if you can say that manufacturing, you know, how you produce stuff, now you can actually produce your own stuff at home through additive manufacturing. Additive manufacturing also involves 3D printing. So you can actually print your own products. So you can nowadays you can download any design. You know, let's say if you want to, I don't know, to build your own, to make your own toothbrush, for example. Yeah, you can download the design from the web, the design of a toothbrush, and all you need to do is just to transfer this design to a 3D printing machine. And nowadays 3D printing machine is you can actually buy, because it is now cost affordable for home use. So you can actually buy your own 3D printer, put it in your house, put it in your home, and then you can print your own stuff. So that's the fourth industrial revolution. We are talking about some simple thing like a mug, you know, plastic mug. You know, you don't have to buy from the stores. You can actually build one at home, and then just buy this cheap 3D printing machine and print one for your own use. So that's manufacturing. And then you, of course, you have robots these days. Most of the plants, manufacturing plants in Europe have autonomous robots, means the robots, of course, there will be a programmer. Programmers will program how the robots should work. But nowadays, most of manufacturing plants in Europe, they have autonomous robots. Cloud computing, I guess everybody knows cloud computing. Nowadays, we don't need hard drives because we can store all our stuff in the cloud up there. So cloud computing has received a lot of attention. And then you have cybersecurity. Again, nowadays it becomes more important so that all our data are being protected. Cyber crimes are increasing. So the cybersecurity team will become the security guards of the future, to secure all our to secure our cyberspace. And then, of course, you have this Internet of Things. Everything is now controlled via internet. So you can actually control your gate, the gate of your home. You can actually control it from your office. Just you need a camera, perhaps, so that the camera can detect who is coming to your home. And you can actually control your own gate from abroad. Maybe you're in Malaysia and you buy an accommodation in Indonesia, so you can actually control your accommodation from here, from Malaysia. So everything is now internet. Big data, again, big data is something interesting because it means that all the things that is known to man, you can actually convert them into something beneficial, into money. Yeah. So all this data can turn into information, into useful information, and that useful information can be used to generate income. So some companies, they do collect data because data is the next gold coin, if you like. If you have great data, then that's a hill of gold. That is, if you know how to use them, then you can gain a lot of money. Fintech, of course, we talk about Bitcoin and so on. E-business, everything now is online. Augmented reality, things like hologram, augmented reality. Already, we have books nowadays. Books, you can buy books that come out with a hologram on your handphone. Yeah, so that is augmented reality. And then, of course, this artificial intelligence. Robots that can do the things that human can do. All right, okay. That's a lot of stuff there. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10 things that are related to IR 4.0. Now, so what's the problem with IR 4.0? We talk about potential jobs at risk. And these are the jobs that is at high risk of elimination, of being eliminated, because these jobs can be automated, can be handled by machines, can be handled by robots. So these three high risk job. The first one is elementary occupations. Elementary occupations such as waiters, shelf fillers, catering assistants, farm workers, cleaners, packers, leisure attendants, elementary construction, postal workers, security guards. All these are elementary occupations that are at high risk of being eliminated because of IR 4.0. And then you have another group of jobs, process, plant, and machine operatives, such as graders and sorters, agricultural machine drivers, assemblers, machine operatives, printing machine assistants, scaffolders, stagers, riggers. These are machine operatives. That is also at higher risk of being obsolete because of the introduction of IR 4.0. And then you have the sales and customer service occupations, like retail cashiers, checkout operators, sales and retail assistants, telephonists, vehicle and part advisors, merchandisers, customer service occupations. Again, these groups of jobs are at high risk of being obsolete. What about the jobs at medium risk? Now, the jobs at medium risk, you have administrative and secretarial occupations like receptionists, legal secretaries, sales administrators, credit controllers, stock control clerks, human resources, personal assistants. And then you have another group, caring, leisure, and other services like hairdressers, housekeepers, sports assistants, care workers, and so on. And then skilled trades occupations, machine operators, craft woodworkers, instrument makers, bricklayers. All these are at medium risk. What about the jobs at low risk? Jobs at low risk, jobs at low risk, professional occupations like medical practitioners, doctors, psychologists, physiotherapists, environmental professionals, archivists, curators, actuators, architects, journalists. And then you have managers, directors, and senior officials, as well as associate professionals and technical occupations like aircraft pilots, police officers, audio-visual operator, inspector of standards. These are jobs at low risk. Having said that, Having said that, now when you talk about Industrial Revolution 4.0 and we talk about AI, artificial intelligence, what if artificial intelligence becomes more intelligent, yeah, then the low risk jobs could move to high risk, yeah. So people that is in the field of medical professions, engineers, lawyers, pilots, accountants, law and order professors, as well as administrators that used to be in the low risk jobs, it could move to a high risk job, as the artificial intelligence becomes more intelligent. So, even nowadays, we can see that robots handling surgery. Wow, that is certainly interesting. Right now, already in practice is remote surgery. Remote surgery means that the doctor operates from some other place. You have the operating theater in one place and the surgeon, thousands of miles away, but doing surgery at that operating theater. Okay, so it is called remote surgery. It is already being done. Yeah, so it is just only a step away from all the robots taking over the surgery, at least for the first, at least initially for simple surgery. Yeah, for simple surgery, so the robot will take over, and then later on, maybe the whole surgery will be done by robots. Engineers, lawyers, pilots, also the same thing. Even pilots, you have drones these days. Yeah, drones means that it is being controlled, remotely controlled. And then even when the aircraft, is on air, you can see that actually it is being handled by the machine itself, by the computer, not really by the pilot. The pilot is necessary for takeoff and landing. Yeah. So there you go. Right. Other issues related to IR 4.0. So these are some of the issues. Increased unemployment. We have the World Economic Forum back in 2016 at Davos, basically mentioning some of the jobs that are rapidly being obsolete because of the introduction of IR 4.0. So this is the first issue, increased unemployment. Number two is, will it solve world problems? Now, you have these United Nations SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. Number 1, no poverty. SDG number 2, zero hunger. So how will this IR 4.0 address these problems? Will it solve the problems? Yeah, the world problems. Now, question number 3, will the world be a safer place? We have already seen, some countries, they use drones. If they want to attack, they use drones. So there is no need for military personnel. There is no need for an engagement with military personnel. You just send drones, and then the drones will just destroy by itself. So will the world be a safer place? That's another question. And then will it be a fair playing field? And we talk about world superpowers here, because IR 4.0, with all the technologies required, maybe only some of the countries will have the benefits, and other countries, who are not that advanced, may be left behind. So will it be a fair playing field? So these are the questions. These are the issues related to IR 4.0. Now, time for a paradigm shift. Let's take a break. Now, but by let's taking a break, I'm not saying that you left this session, but I just need a break in this lecture because it has already been something like 20 minutes or 23 minutes, So I need a break. So let's take a break with this first interlude. And the first interlude is about this. Right, okay. Our existence. Here in UTM, we have 1,406 academics and 23,000 students with a land area of 1,164 hectares. That is huge. That is massive. If you were to come here and to UTM, you can see that. You can see that UTM is a huge institution. Is it? Yeah. Well, it is a huge institution by itself, but if you were to compare, UTM with the with the state of Johor, or even the whole country, Malaysia, then all of a sudden UTM is insignificant. Yeah, with all the thousands of staff, the tens of thousands of students, and the land area of 1,164 hectares that used to be huge, all of a sudden becomes minute, compared to the whole country, which is, even bigger, even larger. Yeah. But then again, if you compare the country with the whole world, then you can see that, oh, hang on a minute, then Malaysia is so small compared to the whole world. Yeah. And then all of a sudden we can no longer see UTM. Yeah. You can no longer see UTM. When you see the world, then UTM becomes nothing. Okay, hang on a minute. How big is our Earth then? Or how small is our Earth compared to other celestial beings out there? Now, compared to the sun, our Earth is very insignificant because it is about 1.3 million times the size of Earth. So very minute, very tiny, this Earth. Even compared to Jupiter and Saturn, Earth is small. So because the sun is so massive, But how big is our sun then? Yeah. Well, even our sun is small because there is another star called Arcturus, which is about 16,000 times larger than our sun. Wow. And all of a sudden, that huge, massive sun becomes small. Okay, what about others? Any other larger stars, perhaps? Oh, yes, definitely. We have this one. And if I'm not mistaken, this is Alpha Scorpii A. And this is massive. It is 690 million times larger than our sun. Wow. Yeah. Any larger still? Oh, yes. There is. And this one is VY Canis Majoris. And it is 2.9 billion times larger than our sun. And this is what they have found out so far. Maybe there are many others larger than VY Canis Majoris. So all of a sudden, our sun is so minute, is so tiny, it is so insignificant. And hang on a minute. We have our planets, our sun, the solar system is in the Milky Way galaxy, and that Milky Way galaxy is about 950, I don't know how to say that, 950 zillion kilometers across, and we are some, I think, we are here, we are there, And then when you compare it with other galaxies, that Milky Way becomes extremely, extremely small, because we have this IC1011 galaxy, which is 6 million light years across. Huge, massive thing. And this is from the Hubble telescope with the 10,000 galaxies. The Hubble telescope basically focuses on one point, and one point only, in space. And from that one point, the picture came like that. And you can see that, we have billions of galaxies actually all around us. And then each galaxy has billions of stars like the sun. And even most of them are much, much larger than our sun. And each star has its own planets. Wow, that is interesting. Some even say that the number of planets out there even outnumber the sand, the gravel that we have on Earth. So that is a lot, that is so massive. And all of a sudden, we cannot even see ourselves. We are so insignificant. So some of the reflections of this first interlude, there are so many things yet to be discovered with so little time. If you go alone, you may go fast, but the only way to go far is to go together, collaborate, teamwork. And no matter how much we have achieved, we are still nothing, literally. Yeah? We are nothing. All right, okay, let's get back to the topic on IR 4.0. The topic of increased unemployment, will it solve world problems? Will the world be a safer place? Will it be a fair playing field? There you go. Time for a paradigm shift. So these are some of the things related to paradigm shift IR 4.0. Back to fundamentals, our attitude, collaborate, lifelong learning, our responsibility to others, and innovative. Is that it? Hello? So I still have the half an hour, am I right? All right.
Yes, just go ahead,
Okay.
Prof. It's okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. And now, if you move one by one in terms of this attitude, character building from strong guiding principles. So you have this principle-centered paradigm, things like trust, justice, integrity, honesty, quality, perseverance, encouragement. You can see that all these principles, I don't know, okay, can you teach robots, to give trust, justice, integrity, honesty? So these are the principles that we should have, because robots may not have them. Things about positivity, progress, priorities, respect, responsibility, the truth. These are principle-centered paradigm. And when we talk about paradigms, these are inseparable from characters. So principle-centered character, you can have two types of principle-centered character. One is related to your own self, another one is related to others. And the one related to oneself are integrity, quality, perseverance, focus, humility, positivity, prioritize, truth, and excellence. Yeah? And the one related to others, cooperation, responsibility, service, justice, encouragement, committed, improving, respect, and gratitude. So these are principle-centered characters, things that only human can excel in. So when you talk about a paradigm shift, we need to actually go back to the fundamentals, go back to the basics. That there are certain things that robot will not be able to do. That is only unique to human being. So these are principle-centered characters. All right, okay, and then back to fundamentals again. This is nothing new, because these are the 5 first verses ever revealed. Al-Alaq from verse 1 to number 5. But I want the way I look at it is not on the tafsir. You can read the tafsir of these 5 verses of the Quran. But the way I look at it is the unique things about these 5 verses, because the first word ever revealed is Iqra. The first word ever revealed is Iqra. And Iqra is, everybody knows, Iqra is read. And then the second word is Bismi Rabbik. Bismi Rabbik, in the name of your Lord, in the name of your master. And your master is Allah, of course. And then it talks about sincerity, And then we talk about Khalaqal Insan. Khalaqal Insan is about how human beings are being created. So it's about knowing yourself. Man alima nafsahu arafa rabbahu. And then Allah repeats again the same word, Iqra. So now you have 2 Iqra, Iqra wa rabbukal akram, and your Lord, your master is the most generous, So it's about knowing your Rabb. So know yourself and then know your Rabb. And then the word allama comes in. And then allama is, technically the learn is not correct, because allama means he taught. He taught. Allama yu'allimu ta'liman fahuwa mu'allimun. So allama is he taught. Learn is ta'allama. Ta'allama yata'allamu ta'alluman fahuwa muta'allimun. So that is allama, ta'allama. So allama is he taught, ta'allama is he learned. So Allah used allama here. At the end of the day, the root word comes from alima. Alima ya'limu ilman fahuwa alimun. The root word is ilm. Ilm is knowledge. Alima, he knew. Ya'lamu, he knows. ilman is knowledge, fahuwa alimun, so he is the one who possessed the knowledge. Yeah. So the word allama, ta'allama, alima gives the meaning of learning, teaching, and knowledge. Yeah. So Allah says that, allama comes later. First thing is iqra. First thing that you need to do is to read. Yeah? Read and then read again, and then comes the word allama, alima, ta'allama. Yeah? And Allah talks about allama bil qalam. Yeah. Of course, qalam is not right. Qalam is pen. Yeah. But the whole idea of using pen is for you to write. Yeah. So there you go. You can see certain very interesting words that Allah put in these first 5 verses ever revealed to mankind. And then, of course, the final one, Allah repeats the word allama again. Yeah? Again, allama. So you have read, learn, write, learn. Read, learn, learn, teaching, knowledge, and then write, and then learn. Yeah. So all these 5. It's already there. Back to fundamentals. We talk about reading. Yeah. The problem is reading habits. Do we have them? As far as habit is concerned, you need things, then it will become habit. The first one is the skills, which is how to. The second one is the knowledge, the what and why. And the third one is the desire, the want to. Yeah. So of course, the skills all of you have, all of us have this one, the skill to what? The skill to read. All of us know how to read. What about knowledge? What to and why? Well, some of us are aware of this. The knowledge of what to read and why reading is important. Some of us are aware of this. But the third part is the most difficult part, because the want to, most of us lack this. So these 3 components need to be there in order for something to become a habit. Yeah. So if you want a reading habits, you talk about back to fundamentals, and back to fundamentals mean that you have to read, as mentioned by Allah in Al-Alaq. And if you want it to be a habit, a reading habit, you need these 3 skills. Yeah. The how to, the what and why, and the desire, the want to. Yeah. Right. All right. Okay. Unfortunately, we have these critical issues confronting the academia, the lost soul of institution of higher learning. Because some institution of higher learning become purely a business entity and neglect their core educational mission. Adab no longer a priority. Adab is ethics, integrity, etiquette. All these are adab. Akhlaq is just part of adab. So adab no longer a priority. It becomes irrelevant. Compartmentalization, segregation of knowledge. So these are only sciences. And nothing to do with arts. There you go. The neglect of arts and humanities in favor of science and technology. The watering down of academic standards. Years of political instability, economic slowdown, and drastic budget cuts. Outside intervention of professional academic judgment violates academic freedom and undermine the quality of higher education. So these are critical issues confronting the academia. And as I mentioned, talk about knowledge, talk about ilm. Then before that, it is adab. So adab is above knowledge. So we want our students to have this before even they learn some technical stuff. They need to know adab. That poster there says al-adabul kathir ma'al ilm al-qalil khayrun min al-ilm al-kathir ma'al adab al-qalil. Lots of adab with little knowledge is far better than lots and lots of knowledge but with little adab. Right. Okay. IR 4.0. Now let's remind ourselves that not during our lifetime, but many years ago, during the human race lifetime, there are certain period of time that is considered as the dark ages. The dark ages. 500 to 1000 AD are considered the dark ages. But is it really so? Or should it be known as the golden age? Yeah. So 800 to 1258 AD are the golden age of the human race, and that is the Islamic golden age. Where we invented thousands of inventions. Where we increase the knowledge, where we put knowledge to the right place. These are the golden age from 800 to 1258. And that is the time of the Caliph Harun al-Rashid, or Caliph al-Ma'mun, Harun al-Rashid, Khalifah al-Ma'mun, 786 until 833. And he says that peace and prosperity can only achieve through acquiring knowledge. So now we are now taking into consideration, when we talk about IR 4.0, we're talking about knowledge should actually bring about peace and prosperity. So if the IR 4.0 does not bring peace and prosperity, something is wrong somewhere. Yeah. So these are some of the things that happened during that time. They made Baitul Hikmah in Baghdad, translating works around the world into Arabic. Some of the most important discoveries known to man were made at this time. And these discoveries have more connections with our modern world than we could possibly imagine. A contribution by Ibn al-Haytham, this handphone. There is a camera on this handphone. So who laid the foundation of this camera? It was Ibn al-Haytham. Yeah. But these are thus some of the scholars of the past: Ibn al-Haytham, Ibn Sina, al-Jazari, al-Zahrawi, Ibn al-Nafis, Abbas ibn Firnas. Just some of the hundreds of scholars during that time. And Ibn al-Haytham is not just a scientist; he was also a mathematician, an astronomer, a philosopher. When you talk about Ibn Sina was famous for medicine, but he also knew astronomy, theology, geology. And you talk about Ibn al-Nafis. Ibn al-Nafis is a Shafi'i jurist. So he's an ulama. Ibn al-Nafis is a Shafi'i jurist. Although he is well known in his discovery of the circulatory physiology. So they don't segmentalize. They don't compartmentalize knowledge. To them, all knowledge is just one knowledge. All knowledge is from Allah, and Allah instructed us to read, to gain knowledge, to learn, allama, to teach and learn, and so on. So all you need to do now is just to revive our DNA to the DNA of the scholars of the past. What kind of DNA do they have? So they have this mind and intellectual, analytical mind, self-motivated, curiosity and inquisitive, creative, innovative. They do exercise, not just physically exercise, they also exercise their mind. So these are one of the DNAs of the scholars of the past. And the second DNA is social and emotional. That they are very passionate in their work. They adapt very quickly. They have this culture of belongingness. They have this gratitude, teamwork, and a balanced lifestyle. These are social and emotional DNA that we should have in this era of IR 4.0. And last but not least, soul and spiritual. I explained in the previous slides about the lost soul in the academia, in the institution of higher learning. So that soul need to be there, because otherwise IR 4.0 will not bring about peace and prosperity as what we experienced during the Islamic golden ages under the Caliph Ma'mun Harun al-Rashid. So we talk about the third DNA of Quran, fasting, dhikr, salah, sadaqah, muhasabah. All these are important soul and spiritual DNA. Revive our DNA to the DNA of the scholars of the past if you want to see some meaning in the IR 4.0, the revolution. And before I end my lecture, let's take another break. I'm tired as well. I've never given a keynote for 1 hour. So this is our second interlude, second interlude. So the first interlude is about the vastness of the space and how insignificant we are. The vastness of the space and how insignificant we are. Now let's take another break on this one. Again, I really like astronomy. How old is our universe? Anybody knew? It is about 13.8 billion years. Well, that is, that's quite a long time, 13.8 billion years. Well, at least to us, human race. Yeah? According to our time, the way we calculate time, it is such a long time. But of course, these are all creation of Allah. Allah is above time. Allah has no time associated with it. He was, and always will be. Yeah? That is Allah, our creator. But we are created together with the creation of time. Yeah? So these 13.8 billion years mean something to us, even to Allah. Allah has no, Allah is above time. Yeah? It's not confined to the limit of space and time. Allah does not confine in a specific time or in a specific place. We do. Human race, we do. Yeah. So we live in a world, in a part of the galaxy. Yeah. And then we are in a time frame. Yeah. So 13.8 billion years. Well, these are how scientists categorize this 13.8 billion years. The first 500 million years, are just, those things, no human being. And then we have another era of Mesozoic era, another 180 million years. Yeah, the age of dinosaurs, if you like. And the human race started in the Cenozoic era 66 million years ago. Yeah, 66 million years ago. That's such a long time. What about how long is a million year? Because sometimes it is very difficult for us to understand when we talk about 66 million years. How long is the 66 million years? Well, forget about how long is 66 million years. How long is a million year? What about Nuh alayhi salam? Prophet Nuh alayhi salam? Yeah. How long did he live? 900? 1,000 years? Okay, that's only 1,000 years. What about our own country, life expectancy? How much? Oh, that much. Talk about what? How many years? 60 years? 80 years? What about you? How long will you live? We are already reaching the end of our lifetime. Yeah. So you can see that, 1 million seconds are about 12 days. So that's a lot. 1 million seconds are about 12 days. 1 million minutes are about 2 years. 1 million hours ago was the year 1900. And 1 million days ago, it was 700 BC. Yeah, 1 million year. Now you can imagine that 1 million year is such a long year. Yeah. And if you were to save 1 cent every second, if you were to save 1 cent every second, one day we will save 864 ringgit. 1 month we will save 25,920 ringgit. 1 year we will save 300,000 ringgit. 3 years we will save about 1 million. That is if we were to value 1 second with 1 cent. But even 1 second is actually equivalent to more than 1 cent. Yeah. So we're talking about a lot of, that is 1 million here. 311 billion ringgit. Yeah, 1 million year. And some reflections on IR 4.0 paradigm shift. Times continue to move. So should all of us. Forget about what happens in the past. Focus on the future. The IR 4.0 is already here. Whatever happened in the past, forget it. Just concentrate on the future. Of course, you can learn from the past. Do something great today to face the new challenges. Don't waste a single second in your life except for something beneficial. Right. Okay. What are the challenges? These are the challenges. Many people and events are constantly interacting. Events do not proceed in a linear fashion. People are becoming more individualistic and self-organizing all the time. There is a culture these days, do as little as you can, which is not good, which is now one of our biggest challenges. We cannot predict the future with levels of uncertainty and ambiguity growing. So you need to be creative, innovative, and bold. No one knows everything, yet everyone has important information. So the team working is more important than ever. Some of my final thoughts: need to adapt with the new industrial revolution, and we need to adapt very fast. Embrace lifelong learning, even though that we have already get our highest degree, like a PhD, we still need to learn. So embrace lifelong learning, learn something new. Learn from the great scholars of the past, their DNA, the 3 DNAs that I mentioned previously. learn from them. You know, that's how they become great scholars. Make life easy for others. Don't be selfish. Don't ever be selfish. You know, our life is not about us. It is about others, treating people with respect. And that's it, I guess, on perception. And that's it. Thank you. Oh, okay. 12:20. Still 10 minutes left. If there are any questions, then I would be more than happy to try and answer them.
Oh, may I? Hello.
Hello.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
It is very interesting, Dato, Professor Rafiq, your presentation. So I want to address for two things. You know, I agreed with your final thought that we should adopt the new revolution, information revolution. But the thing is, we need to take care of it. Let's we talk about the reading habits. As you said that there are three things we must pay attention on it. I want to take for the third aspect. It is desire to for or want to, right? But this is we still need the role and the encouragement of teacher to make a student to have desire to read, you know, a lot. Do you agree with this? Because why? Because without encouragement, it is difficult to come up with the desire. Yeah. And as you said that golden age, but in this case, golden age, what I mean is golden age of children to be educated. Okay. In the golden age of children, as you know from the literature, from early children education from 0 to about 11 years old. This is the golden age for children to be educated. Okay, so still in this case, the role and the participation of teacher to educate pupils or student is a need. So even though unemployment can be greater, but teacher still in place. Still we need a teacher profession. So I think that one. The second thing is about we should learn from the great scholar in the past. I agree with that. But learning from that, I thought that just say, for example, Khawarizmi, Ibnu Aitam, Avicenna, even Al-Ghazali, they are all memorized a Quran. You know, in the early child age, okay, in 5 years old, 7 years old, okay, that's why the desire can come up with that because of the barakah of the memorizing Quran. You agree with that? So therefore, in this case, I think our education system should refer to that phenomena. What do you think about that? These are two things. Thank you, Professor Dato Rafiq.
Thank you, Dr. Aris Munandar. Actually, very interesting point for me to put in my slide later on. You talk about the golden age of children from 0 to 11 years old. Thank you so much for that information, and I believe so. In this young age, we should actually turn them. We can actually turn them into something even greater during this period of the golden age of our kids from 0 to 11. You also mentioned about the desire. Want to talk about reading habits. You mentioned the part that I mentioned that we lack the most is the desire for reading to become our habits.
Yes.
If we have that desire, then reading becomes our habits. And you mentioned, Dr. Aris Munandir, about encouragement from teacher. Yes, I totally agree with you. And then you also mentioned about great scholars from the past, Khawarizmi, Ghazali, and so on, that they are Hufazul Quran, they memorize the Quran. Yes, I totally agree with you. And to all of you who watch this webinar, do make dua for me, because I also would like to memorize the Quran. I already asked staff at the Islamic Center to register myself for the Sijil Tahfiz Malaysia. Sijil Tahfiz Malaysia. So inshallah, I plan to memorize the Quran as well, so that it becomes my desire and my habit to read. And may Allah give me barakah, as mentioned by Dr. Aris Munandar just now. Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you, Prof. Dr. Rafiq. Before we go for questions, we will open inshallah for questions after a while. But allow me again to introduce you. Actually, Dr. Nur Hidayah already sent the biography. Actually, I'm regret not to read it, not introduce you as you deserve. Please, my guests, my students here, let us actually read or know better our Prof. Dr. I. Muhammad Rafiq bin Dr. Abdul Qadir. Dr. Rafiq is a professor of biomedical engineering and the Dean Faculty of Engineering University Technology, Malaysia, UTM, one of the largest engineering faculty in Asia with around 700 academics, 300 support staff, and 10,000 students. His career brings over a wealth of experience in research, teaching, administrations, community service, as well as practicing engineer. On his academic brilliance assessment, he obtained his first degree in mechanical engineering from renowned University, Imperial College London, and then spent a year at the University of Cambridge for postgraduate studies. He later returned to Imperial College London for PhD research in medical engineering. His thesis on commentless hip arthroplasty was accepted without correction. Upon completing his PhD in 2005, he joined UTM as an academic staff. He was promoted to a senior lecturer in 2008, associate professor in 2010, and 3 years later to a full professor. Dr. Rafiq established the Medical Devices and Technology Research Group, MEDITEG, in 2006, and within a span of 10 years leading the group, he managed to secure 95 research grants with a total amount of grant over 10 million ringgit in total. Dr. Rafiq has published over 300 ISI and Scopus index publications in the field of medical engineering and related technologies with a cumulative impact factor of more than 300. His current H index is 41. His contributions in scientific community also include 7 books and 93 proceedings. Besides his intellectual role in academics, Dr. Rafiq is also profiled in Inverter according to my IPO. Data pass on patents 2001 to 2014. He is Malaysia 1 inventor with 27% granted. To date, he holds 38 granted patents and has filed 18 new innovations pending for my IPO approval. Under his supervision, 45 PhD and 41 masters by research have successfully graduated in various biomedical sub-experience. Dr. Rafiq is a visionary academician and strong advocate of active blended student-centered learning where he utilized creativity and innovation in his teaching and supervision technique. He has been invited in numerous occasions to facilitate courses on creativity and innovation, as well as on leadership. He previously held 3 appointments as Deputy Dean with 3 different portfolios, academics, development, and postgraduate and research. He head of the head of department and the head of research cluster. He is registered at the Board of Engineers Malaysia, BEM, as a professional engineer with practicing certificate and had been appointed as a consultant for several companies before joining UTM. Dr. Rafiq had working experience and as an engineer in Singapore-based and Japanese companies. This was the biography of Dr. Rafiq. Actually, feel very invited to read Professor biography, and actually it is very inspiring every one of us. Okay, Prof, let us open space for our students to ask questions. So the first questions, allow me to read. It's it's in Malay. Adakah kecanggihan AI akan mengakibatkan berlakunya kadar pengangguran yang tinggi atau ianya membantu pelbagai sektor, apatah lagi di saat pandemik yang memurangkan WFH and so on. Boleh,
Okay.
Prof?
Ya, boleh. Terima kasih atas soalan. Ya, berkenaan dengan sama ada IR 4.0 ni dapat mengakibatkan pengangguran. Jadi dia dua-dua benda tu boleh berlaku. Maknanya kita boleh tengok, again we are talking about perspective, in the way we see things. Jadi kalau kita tengok dari satu sudut, berkemungkinan dia dapat berikan banyak kebaikan, especially dalam keadaan kita tak boleh buat face to face. So even teknologi yang macam kita gunakan sekarang ni pun adalah teknologi IR 4.0. Jadi kita tak ada secara live, kita tak buat secara face to face, kita buat secara live melalui komputer. Jadi always think positive. Cuma dalam presentation ini tu saya letakkan something like for thought. Untuk kita fikirkan secara bersama, sebab bendanya real. Saya dekat dalam satu slide tu saya beritahu berkenaan dengan World Economic Forum 2016. World Economic Forum 2016 dekat Davos. Dan dalam World Economic Forum tu dia bagi tahu the job loss, kan, job become obsolete, kan. Jadi kita kena prepare. Dan job obsolete, of course, adalah kebaikan IR 4.0 ni, macam-macam benda kebaikan dia IR 4.0 ni. Tapi pada masa yang sama kita juga kena address isu-isu penting, isu-isu penting seperti unemployment. Jadi ada both sides lah. There is always good and bad. For us, we need to prepare. Macam kat dalam slide saya tu ada issues of the related to IR 4.0. Jadi isu tu yang kita kena cuba tackle. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Prof. Thank you very much. There we have another question here. So the question said, what comes after Industrial Revolution 4.0 and how this technology help in our daily life, especially in pandemic COVID-19?
So what is IR 4.0? What is after IR 4.0 is IR 5.0. But well, joke aside, but things is we don't know yet. Even the fourth industrial revolution, even though it is already at our doorstep, we still need to fully utilize them. Let's say, for example, 5G. 5G is part of IR 4.0, and then with 5G, you can have something like remote surgery. 5G technology, which is part of IR 4.0, allow you to have remote surgery. You know, a surgeon in one place, thousands of miles away, and then the operating theater is in some other place. And so that concept, that concept is already implemented in some countries, but in some other countries, even in Malaysia, 5G is not fully utilized, or maybe haven't fully been developed, 5G technology. So if you ask me about what is after IR 4.0, my answer would be definitely IR 5.0. That is my definite answer. But if you want to know what is in IR 5.0, I don't know. But what I do know is that here and now is that we need to fully utilize IR 4.0, take advantage of it. You know, we talk again, if I take example of the 5G, we are talking about autonomous vehicle. Yeah. So is it already here? Well, maybe in some countries they have already implemented autonomous vehicles, but as far as Malaysia is concerned, no, not yet. So even though IR 4.0 is here and now, but it is not being fully utilized, not being seen, applicable or being applied in our countries. So that is the IR 5.0 thing. And then second part, I forgot about that question.
The second part is a conventional final. Sorry. So that was the whole question.
All right. Okay.
The following question, the Prof. What can be a shift in the education system in Malaysia to be effective and relevant to IR 4.0? Is it the conventional final exam system in a whole, etc.? Is it still relevant as unemployed graduate is much worrying nowadays?
Thank you for the question, for that part related to education. You know, now we are facing something like a great challenge here. How do we prepare our students for the future? You know, and
Yes.
don't talk about the IR 5.0. What about the future IR 4.0? You know, as far as UTM is concerned, what we have done is that we have started on the micro credentials program. That's one. Another thing is that we merged all our engineering faculties under one banner. Then we include the School of Computing. So computing is now part of engineering, because we want to prepare our graduates for the future, for the IR 4.0, and IR 4.0 requires the elements, the computing elements, which left in our degree program. And then to tell you the truth, you know, if the things that I learned, in my own degree in mechanical engineering, in mechanical engineering, that I learned 20 or 30 years ago, is still being taught today. So, you know, we need to actually revamp our curriculum. But the thing is, as far as the engineering courses are concerned, there are certain subjects, certain courses that are considered fundamentals. You know, engineers must know this. Yeah. So the challenge now becomes, you know, how do you embed this new IR 4.0, the concept of artificial intelligence, IoT, you know, augmented reality, into the engineering field? So that one will become a great challenge. But yes, we need to address this issue so that our graduates are really up for the industrial revolution.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Rafiq. Alhamdulillah, we reached to the end of our session for today. We have actually so many questions our students would like to ask, but we already received 4 questions. One from our guest here at the WebEx and from 3 students. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. all thanks are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We managed to have this very meaningful session with Prof. Rafiq. And we come to the end of our session, and we finish it with Surah Al-Asr and Tasbih Kuffara. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Terima kasih semua.
Ya, masih.
Prof.
Terima kasih
Ya.
semua.
Ya, terima kasih banyak kerana sudi luangkan masa untuk forum ni.
Iya, terima kasih. Ya. Sampai jumpa. Next
Sampai
program.
jumpa insyaAllah.
Sampai jumpa insyaAllah.
Insyaallah.
Terima kasih semua. Jazakumullah khair, barakallahu fikum.
Ya.
Iya, ini Pak Daya, dia ya.
Dia.
Dia, oh Pak Dia.
Diyauddin.
Originally from what country? Dia ya.
Jordan.
Oh Jordan ya. Oke. Takalam logatul Arabia.
Saya belajar di UIN Malang.